Well, it's another Saturday morning in the Demonverse. What is going on? I'm Rich Jodice, the Pro Football Demon, and we're just going to hang out and talk about some football stuff today. What is up, everybody? First thing that I saw on X, before we get to anything, there's an article that says, it is titled, Madden Sessions Shaped Young NFL Coaches' Clock Skills. A theory claims. If you remember last week, I was talking a little bit about Darren Muji and why I have faith in Darren Muji and what somebody like Darren Muji is doing with the Jets that gets overlooked by people out there because, well, a lot of people are lazy. They talk about the Jets and they say, well, they're just a horror show of a franchise. The whole situation is a joke and blah, 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 blah. And they don't look between the layers to see what is actually going on. So I said Darren Muji comes from that kind of pool of younger people coming into the NFL. He's 39 years old. If he loves football as much as I think he does, there's a good chance he played a little Madden. And a good chance that he knows how to build a roster and has spent his entire youth building rosters on Madden. And that's why he's good. And now we have an article like this, just 1 week later, saying coaches learned how to manage clocks by running 2-minute drills on Madden. And there's a picture of Ben Johnson, Sean McVay, and Mike McDonald. Now, I don't know that actually happened, but it is interesting. It is interesting. What is going on, Deb? Do you do this every Saturday? I'm going to be, yes. I did it last Saturday. Doing it this Saturday. So I have about an hour today. Usually it goes about an hour and a half, but I got a work thing that I got to take care of. But yeah, every Saturday at about this time, I'm trying to see what my live stream schedule is going to be going forward. I know I want to do during the week as well. But Saturday at around noon, I think that's going to be a firm thing. So Waggles demands you smash the like button. Yes, what's going on, Money Mike? What is going on, Soldier? Just dropping in to like and crash out. What's going on, Taps? Yes, so that's just an interesting article. That is an interesting article. I firmly believe that is what's happening, and I firmly believe that's what's going on with Darren Muji. Now, one of the things that bothered me this week was I was watching a little Pat McAfee, and they were talking about the Jet situation, and they were talking about Aaron Glenn and how Aaron Glenn might get fired and all this stuff. And fine, I have no love for Aaron Glenn being the Jets head coach going forward. What is going on, Jeff's Party? Jeff's Party, the throne is no longer open. We're going to take care of that right now as I continue. What is up, Jeff's Party? He's a Dallas Cowboys fan. I really appreciate it, man. So, as I get your name up on stream, on screen, rather. I always say on stream. As I get your name up on screen as the supreme ruler of the stream, the lord of the stream, what bothered me about the Pat McAfee thing is, sure, they were talking about Aaron Glenn, and they were, of course, talking about Woody Johnson, saying, well, bad ownership and blah, all the same stuff that they talk about. Now, Aaron Glenn has shown that he's kind of a mess. I can't defend anything he's doing right now. He's not firing people. It's a weird situation. There was that report that John Gruden, this was what the McAfee thing was focused on, was the report of Gruden, which has been debunked by Gruden himself, by the way. But, these things happen with the Jets. There was that report of Gruden coming out and saying, they offered him a job. Well, no, he didn't come out and say that. But there we go, Jeff, here on screen. Thank you very much. The supreme ruler of the stream. There was a story that came out that Gruden turned down an opportunity to come into the Jets coaching staff and whatnot. And the first thing I thought was, okay, that makes sense because if he's coming in and he's not going to be a head coach, why would he want to work for a lame duck coach like Aaron Glenn? You see the writing on the wall. You're going to come in and work under that guy. You're probably going to be in a situation where you are an interim coach at some point. You're John Gruden. You have a Super Bowl ring. You have the status in the NFL. You're not going to want to do that. So does that really surprise anybody? Does anybody think Aaron Glenn's going to be here after next season? Do you want to come in and work under that guy? No. But then Gruden came out and said that he was never offered the job. So that was false. But anyway, on McAfee, they were talking about that. And then they went on to talk about how the Jets are a mess. And why would you bring in Justin Fields? Which nobody said at the time Justin Fields was signed. Nobody said, why would you bring in Justin Fields? We have data now showing that Justin Fields is an absolute mess. But before then, it was the narrative was, oh, with the Steelers, he looked pretty good. He won some games with the Steelers, blah, 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 blah. What is going on, Ashley? Ashley is one of your top 5 contenders, by the way. There she is, right at the top, followed by Melissa Klein, Samuel Miller, Mike Causey, and Dude. So what really irked me about this McAfee thing is, they're talking about the Jets, and I'm always just ready to, for somebody to make their comments and make fun of the Jets, and okay, it comes with the territory. And I'm fully prepared for the season to be a disaster. I want it to be a disaster. Talking about bringing in Greg Roman. I'm like, yes, bring him in. Bring him in. Just burn it down. Let's burn it down. Let's, the doomsday plan, as you guys all know that I've talked about. But one of McAfee's guys said, somebody mentioned Darren Muji's name. And one of his guys said, well, he's terrible too. And they all kind of agreed. And I said, no, wait a minute. We have data that shows that Aaron Glenn is pretty bad. Okay, I get that. I can get why you're pointing a finger at him. But are you even paying attention to anything Darren Muji has done? And these are the situations where I wish I could call in and say, what are you guys talking about? When we talk about Woody Johnson being a bad owner, I get it. It's easy to point at a guy and say you're a bad owner because the history of success isn't there. But I would argue again that it really went off the rails when Chris Johnson took over. And when Chris Johnson took over, I thought he might be more of a football guy than Woody, so maybe things will get better because, things were okay with Woody for a while and then they went off the rails a bit. Not horribly, but, Jets had their ups and downs. Then Chris Johnson took over and it just completely went off the track. So when we talk about Woody Johnson being a bad owner, I'm like, I get it. But all these stories, the Madden story where he listened to Brick about the Jerry Jeudy trade and Brick told him Jerry Jeudy's Madden rating isn't high, so then they made this decision not to go after Jerry Jeudy. I don't believe any of that. Maybe there was a comment about a Madden rating or something, but I don't think they're basing their determination off of Madden ratings. So these stories that come out, they're easy to run with. And if you're not a Jets fan, I'm all for you making fun of us for that. I don't care. You can make fun of us, but it's when the Jet fans come out and start saying this stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? Where is your loyalty to the team? What are you talking about? We know there is nothing. I got into an argument with a guy who's a big Jets guy on X. I'm not going to say his name. Seems like a nice enough guy, but he put out a tweet that said, clearly, this meeting between Aaron Glenn and Woody Johnson, clearly Woody Johnson wanted the offensive coordinator gone. Clearly he wanted him gone, and clearly Aaron Glenn wanted to keep him, and Woody got his way. And I just sent him a message and said, well, it's a lot of clearlies for somebody who actually doesn't know what's going on and wasn't in the room with the guys. And he's like, well, I wasn't in the room with the guys, but I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm like, yeah, but you're using the word clearly. You can't do that. You can't say clearly, because clearly means, well, you either have inside information or you're saying this is a fact. So you would say, I would assume this is what's happening, and then that changes the tone of it. But when you start saying clearly, and my point to him was just use different words, man. Because, you're riding this narrative of we're just a complete train wreck. And yeah, sure, the history shows that maybe we are. But, then why be just go root for another team? Just go root for another team. It's like you want it to be bad, is the way I see it. So it really gets under my skin. Muji absolutely finessed the Colts. Look at Jason Wick and Cowboys and trades. Trades like that are why Ryan Poles still has a job in Chicago. Yes, and how are people not seeing that? You guys see it. You guys know. I come into the Demonverse and we sit here and talk about it, and I see the comments, and I'm like, okay, these are people that know what they're talking about. These are people that pay attention. And then, you go into the Twitter sphere or wherever else, and you see these comments, and a lot of these people are Jet fans, and I'm like, no, Muji's terrible too. He has to go. And I'm just like, what? Give me a reason. Why? Why? Why is he terrible? Oh, because we signed Justin Fields. Well, tell me who we should have signed then. Was Aaron Rodgers, keeping Aaron Rodgers, you wanted to do that? Oh, okay, that would have gotten us to 8-8. Maybe. Where would we be right now? Are we a Super Bowl contender with Aaron Rodgers? The rest of the roster was pretty bad. We probably wouldn't have been able to make those trades at that point. Because why would you? If you were winning some games here and there. Maybe we would have won it. But it would have been mediocrity. Again, more mediocrity. And it's, oh my God, look at Ashley. Oh my Lord, wait a minute. We have, on a Saturday morning, we have a new television champion. So we have to address that right away. I just can't imagine. And we have a new supreme ruler of the stream, by the way, is Ashley. Wow, thank you so much. I just can't imagine that the Jets fired all those folks and they are trying to win. It really seems like they want to tank next season. And Aaron Glenn seems to be going along with it. So here's what I think, Ashley. I don't know that Aaron Glenn would be going along with that. What he's doing seems like, it feels like he is trying to grasp at straws to save his job in some way. And I think management, aka Darren Muji and Woody Johnson, are letting it happen, saying, okay, because they see, I'm sure, listen, Woody's not a dumb guy. People can make all the jokes they want. There's a reason the guy is a billionaire. He's not a stupid guy. He knows business, right? So if he's looking at this situation and he's talking to Darren Muji, and by the way, he gave Darren Muji the okay to make those trades and get rid of some of their players. People are like, oh, all you're worried about is money. Well, why would you let the guys, I mean, we're talking jersey sales, right? You're going to let this guy get rid of two of your most popular players, two of your best players? If you don't see what's going on, you're just going to let that happen? If money is your main motivation? There we go, Ashley. Let me get your name on the title. So what I think is happening is Aaron Glenn is trying to fight for his job, trying to figure out a way to resolve this. And these guys are sitting back and saying, all right, well, you do what's best. We'll see what happens. Because Muji, I believe, knows his job is safe. There might be some kind of, unspoken understanding between him and Aaron Glenn that, all right, well, I'm going to at least let you see this through because you're constructing the roster. But if the coach can't get it figured out on his end of things, then he's got to go. And then maybe you bring in the head coach and, we'll see if we can resolve it then. So I think that's the case. And because it doesn't make sense to me that you're going to fire that many guys and then, you have Engstrand, Tanner Engstrand there, and it's like he's going to be there. And, maybe I'm going to call the plays, but we're going to bring in Wink Martindale. Maybe he's going to call the plays. No, I'm going to call the plays. So it seems like Aaron Glenn is trying to fight to get to the surface and just figure things out along the way. And we have a new television champion, by the way. There we go. Ashley's name is back on the title. Let me do some math here, too. Thank you very much, Ashley. So that's kind of the way I see it. I don't think Glenn has to win games to keep his job. He can't look inept. And what wouldn't make sense to me is if Woody Johnson said to him, just because of the optics of it all. If Woody Johnson said to him, okay, yeah, you can do whatever this year. We don't care. We're going to keep you on for next year. You would still see some kind of competency. And we're not seeing that. We're not seeing that. We're not, in game and whatnot. It doesn't look good. And the way the offseason's been handled by him doesn't look good. It looks like he doesn't know what he's doing and is just fighting for life. But I do believe Aaron Glenn will be gone after this year because I don't know how he would possibly stay there after all of this. I mean, we're on pace to win 6 games. I'm sorry, not 6 games. We're on pace to win to win 1 game. I mean, what I see is the same thing that happened that we had with Rich Kotite, where he came in, won 3 games, following season, won 1 game. I see that same thing happening with Aaron Glenn. So, you know, if he can show somehow that he's figured it out, it's even going to be tough to argue that if you lose more games. And then, you know, we're going to be in a situation where next season you're going to have some good coaches up for jobs. You know, we're going to see what happens with Kubiak. We're going to see what happens with LaFleur. But, you know, at least one of those guys might be there. Maybe both of them will still be there. You're going to have Sean McDermott, who, no, Rowdy, I'm sorry, that's not, Rowdy's name shouldn't be there. You're going to have Sean McDermott, who, you know, but say what you want about him. I think he's a good coach. It would be way better with Sean McDermott than it is with Aaron Glenn. And I think Sean McDermott would be a guy who would look at this and say, yeah, well, I'm gonna let Darren Muji do his thing. Like I'm not gonna ask for that power. I'm not gonna be a Parcells type or a Tomlin type. Tomlin's another one that might be available, but you guys know I don't think I want Tomlin there for that reason. I think he'll just come in and want all this power and undercut Darren Muji, and I'm not interested in that. I want this guy to see through what he came here to do. But it just, hearing some of these people talk, man, it drives me crazy. Absolutely drives me crazy. They're Jet fans, and I'm just like, man, you guys, and of course, you know, like when I was arguing with that one guy, and I was being respectful. He was trying to be respectful. He was trying to be a little cute with his words, but you know, you can't really do that. It's just like, whatever. But the thing that's funny is, you know, then you have the Jet fans that follow him, and then they start attacking you like, oh, and they're the big insult that was coming my way was, oh, you're Woody's bastard grandson. I'm like, is that all you got? Is that all you have? You can sit there and call me Woody's grandson? Yeah, I'm his grandson. Now what? Does that change the opinion? No. Does it change the fact that what this person saying is nonsensical? No. So give me something else. But anyway, thank you very much, Ashley. I think I have everything on screen properly right now. There we go. There we go. Saturday morning and new television champion of the world, Ashley Atchison. I said it the right way, didn't I? Excellent. Very happy about that. Very happy about my pronunciation. Very happy to be here in the Demonverse today. Let me see what else is going on in the chat. All right, let's see. Jesse Minter's cooking with his staff. Minter is coming. Yep, let's see what happens with Jesse Minter. Another thing that's really grinding my gears is this whole Robert Saleh situation. All of a sudden, and this is Colin Cowherd, man, I want to wring his neck. Theoretically, you know, not physically, but you know what I mean. The thing that's, he put out a thing, was it yesterday or the day before? I was talking about his confidence factor in the new head coaching changes. And of course, he's like, oh, with the Giants, John Harbaugh, you know, confidence factor is elite. Same thing with Stefanski with the Falcons. And then right below that, he put Robert Saleh with the Titans. And he's like, I believe he's going to turn the Titans completely around. And I'm like, okay, but when the Jets hired him, you said this was a horrible hire. Why would they hire Robert Saleh? Defensive head coach. He's always against defensive head coaches. And now all of a sudden it's this is the most brilliant hiring in the world. What is Robert Saleh doing? You know what he's doing? He's doing the same thing he did with the Jets. Now he brought in Brian Dable, which I like. I like Brian Dable as OC. So that might, if he can make Cam Ward work, fine. And if Robert Saleh is going to call the defensive plays, Maybe they can make that work. We'll see. But as a head coach, he seemed to be out of his element. And you're going to give that guy more responsibility. I mean, he didn't do anything with us. He didn't have to call the plays. He didn't have to do anything. And he couldn't handle it. He looked like he was lost. So, unless Brian Daboll's actually going to be the acting head coach, we'll see what happens there. But the thing that bugs me about this is, why are we giving Robert Saleh all of this clout now? We're like, oh, Robert Saleh is going to be a great head coach. We don't know that. He's doing the same thing. He's coming out and he's saying he's got all these sound bites that sound great. It sounds beautiful when he talks. He's got all these one-liners like a professional wrestler. I did a skit about this a while back. SG's familiar with that skit. But that's all he's doing. He's coming out with these, sitting there at the podium like, oh yeah, we're going to drive really fast and we're not going to crash into anything. And if we do, they're going to be in trouble. And everybody's like, oh my God, this guy's going to be an excellent head coach. Whatever he's saying. But let's see what the product is on the field. We don't know if Cam Ward's good. Cam Ward looks pretty good, but I know Brian Daboll wanted him when he came out in the draft. That was the guy Brian Daboll wanted. They couldn't trade up to get him. Now he gets to be with him. But we'll see. We'll see. Was Brian Daboll really, really responsible for Josh Allen's ascension? We don't know. If he can do the same thing with Cam Ward, then there's more data, right? He kind of did it with Daniel Jones a little bit, but then he moved off Daniel Jones. So, but I do know Brian Daboll seems to have an eye for talent because, he spotted Jackson Dart, said, that's the guy I want. He also wanted Jaden Daniels. So maybe it was a situation where he saw all the quarterbacks, said, I want all of them, and then this is the guy that fell to them. So, maybe it could also be that. MLF just signed a multi-year extension. He's going nowhere. Okay, so MLF is, you're talking about Matt LaFleur, not Mike LaFleur. Okay. Saleh sucks, Todd Bowles 2.0. That's what I'm saying, Jason Wick. That's what I'm saying. My pronunciation is stellar this morning. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. But that was another thing. And then they had Jesse Minter below Saleh. And I said, how? How is Jesse? I mean, at least level. At least make it level with Saleh, because we have no clue what Saleh is going to be in Tennessee. He's already had an epic failure in New York, and he had chances. This wasn't a situation where Woody Johnson brought him in for 1 year. No, this was a situation where Saleh was part of the decision to move off of Sam Darnold, right? He was part of the decision to move off of Sam Darnold and not trade that pick and try to put something around Sam Darnold and develop him. No, they said, no, let's go get Zach Wilson because he's got a big arm. Saleh was behind the decision to pass up on JSN and go after what's his name? The defensive end. I forgot the name of the defensive end that they took for over JSN right now because I want to forget his name. It's Will something. I can't forget. I can't remember his name right now. But that was Saleh. That was Saleh and Joe Douglas. You mean to tell me Saleh had no say in those decisions? Come on. But no, all of a sudden with Tennessee, he's light years ahead of Jesse Minter. We don't know what Jesse Minter is going to be as a head coach, but the guy looks competent. There's a reason why people wanted him, and he could be one of those guys like a Mike McDonald right now. One of these young guys that grew up playing Madden and knows what he's doing. Saleh didn't play Madden. You can tell just by looking at him. Wait a second. I got a super chat to get to. Hold on. Where's Jeff's party? There it is. Robert Saleh is a great leader of the defense, but he couldn't develop Zach Wilson. Bringing in Brian Daboll was a good move. Yes, I agree, Jeff's party. Great leader of the defense. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I'll give you that. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I don't know now to how should I put this? In Robert Saleh's defense, I don't know that there's anybody that could develop Zach Wilson, and I wouldn't put it on a defensive guy to try to develop him, right? So Zach Wilson's quarterback coach also passed away, so there was a situation there, but I don't know that anybody would be able to. Some guys just can't be developed. Some guys just aren't that good. They can't read a defense. They get in their own heads, and if that were not true, every single quarterback that came out of the draft would eventually become something, and that doesn't happen. Some guys just don't have it. They don't have it in them to be a quarterback in the NFL, regardless of who's coaching them. We might see that with J.J. McCarthy. We saw that with Trey Lance. I mean, Trey Lance went to the perfect situation in San Francisco, and Shanahan said, no, I'm going to go with Brock Purdy. So I don't put it on Saleh that he couldn't develop Zach Wilson or bring in the right people to develop Zach Wilson. But what I do blame him for was moving off Sam Darnold. Because when you look at it, you saw Sam had, now they might have done it for financial reasons because they know Sam's 50-year option was coming up. They didn't want to have to pay him and he didn't show enough. Okay, fine. But if you're going to move off of him and your answer is Zach Wilson, I need something more than the dude's got a strong arm. I don't know. There were all these, but you know, again, guys like Chris Sims was out there saying he was better than Trevor Lawrence. I don't know how these people survive in the media with some of these takes. Like I remember looking at Zach Wilson and I mean, us, just the general public, the people who come in this chat, the people who comment on my stream, on my videos and whatnot, we all had the same take essentially, which was he didn't play anybody and he had a great offensive line. He had all the time in the world. He didn't really have to operate in that system. Now, that's not the be-all, end-all of quarterback play because, you know, sometimes that can be the case and a guy could still come into the NFL and learn. But we saw Sam Darnold actually do things. You know, we saw him actually do some things. So, I don't know, to move off of that guy when you could have traded the second overall pick and got a haul, how people don't blame, they blame the Jets for that, but they don't blame Robert Saleh for that. They don't blame Joe Douglas for that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Oh, it's the Jets. Okay, but these guys were in charge. So it's insane. It's insane. Bucko Bruce is here. Wait a minute. Stefanski won 5 games with 2 Pro Bowl quarterbacks this season, and we wonder why he got fired. Jason Wick says, do you hate Joe Douglas more for moving off Darnold and taking Wilson or taking that bum Becton over Tristan Wirfs? That was another one. And I've said this before, Jason. Saleh, you know, and you might have the same take. You might have had the same take. When I saw Saleh get the deal that he got for Sam, I was like, oh, okay, well, you got some pretty good value for Sam Darnold. All right, so I'm okay with that. And you saw some of the move, you know, he seemed to be a guy who knew how to get trade value, proper trade value, or maybe even a little more than he should have gotten. But when you look back on it, he seemed like a guy who was in love with traits and not, is this guy actually a good football player? He looked at Mekhi Becton and said, oh, this guy's huge. All right, let's take him. He looked at Zach Wilson on his pro day. I remember seeing Joe Douglas, like he's looking at him like he was a man who just got off a desert island and saw a buffet for the first time in a while. His mouth was watering because he saw Zach Wilson running around in shorts throwing bombs with nobody chasing him. So he's a guy who liked traits. Same thing with Denzel Mims, right? Denzel Mims had a great Senior Bowl game. He liked traits. Will McDonald, that's the guy. Will McDonald that I'm talking about. Will McDonald, he can spin, man. He looks awesome when he spins. Okay. Jackson Smith-Njigba is elite. Knew he was elite. An Ohio State receiver sitting right there for you, just sitting there for the taking. And you pass him up because you think the guy spins pretty. An undersized defensive end. And you had Brian Thomas there who did that very thing that you wanted this guy to do. But no, you traded him for Hassan Reddick and butchered that because the contract, it was like, oh no, yeah, we're going to sign you to a contract. No, we didn't mean this year. And the trade's already done. So now it's like, no, we meant this. It was, and then Hassan Reddick doesn't play for it. It was, and then everybody puts it on Woody. But Woody put these people in charge. No, actually, sorry, Chris Johnson put these people in charge. Woody was there. Woody was working for Trump at the time as the ambassador to the UK. So there was when stuff really went off the rails, that's when Chris Johnson had taken over. So Woody said, okay, I'm going to let these guys do some things. And then he looked at it and said, what are they doing? They're like, what is this? This is why I don't think Woody is such a bad owner. I'm not saying he's the best owner in the world, but he seemed, to me, honestly, he seems like a guy who tries to get people there who know what they're doing and says, well, okay, like he did with the 33rd team. They brought in Mike Tannenbaum. They brought in, I think, Eric Mangini. A bunch of guys. And that's another thing with the 33rd team, with the Jets, okay? I don't know if you guys heard this. So they were talking to Mike Tannenbaum, who was a former Jets general manager. And to credit the 33rd team, they're the guys that singled out Darren Muji. Said, yeah, okay, well, let's bring him in. Woody said, fine, cool. Go get that guy, bring him in here. He'll be our general manager. If you guys say that's who we should get, that's who we're going to get. You guys are football guys. I'm going to defer to you. That's what Woody's doing. You're going to tell me that's reasonable. That's not bad ownership. That's not Jerry Jones. That's not, I know everything. You guys shut up and listen to me. No, that is, I'm deferring to you guys because you know what you're doing. You're football guys, right? Okay. So then they evaluated the coaches. And what Tannenbaum has said, because they've been criticized for this now, for telling us to hire Aaron Glenn, telling Woody to hire Aaron Glenn, they said, well, we thought leadership should play a bigger role in the decision-making than X's and O's. So we weren't really looking for a guy who knew X's and O's. We were looking for a good leader. Well, that's what you got. A guy who is a good leader. What does that mean? He can come out and be mean to the media and yell and say, we're the mother effing Jets. That riles people up. Yeah, sure. People might like you because of that. But you got to show me a game plan, man. Show me how you're going to stop the Patriots offense. How are you going to do that? Oh, you don't know? Oh, you're going to bring in a coordinator to do that. And then you're going to fire him? That's your plan? Okay, next. You have to have some sort of, and you know, people are looking at DVEA when Aaron Glenn was with the Lions and saying, okay, well, he's going to call the plays now. Maybe there'll be some shift in the defense and whatnot. But Woody put people in charge is the point, and they said we're going to look at leadership as the driving force of who we're going to recommend you hire. And that's why Aaron Glenn is here. So this isn't Woody Johnson's fault. It's Woody Johnson's fault for bringing in these guys, I guess, who had a bit of I bet they're never going to make that mistake again. By the way, I bet they're never going to do that again. But because Woody did that, we got Darren Muji. So that's the thing I'm happy about. And if it's any indication of where we're headed with Darren Muji, I think Darren Muji is going to make a good decision. If Woody's smart, Woody will say, Darren, you hire the next head coach after this year. You hire the next head coach. Darren Muji might be telling him, look, let this play out. Trust me, just let it play out. We're going to get a lot of flack in the media. You might lose little money this year. Just let it play out. I got this. And Woody's saying, okay, Darren, you mean to tell me, you're going to tell me Darren Muji doesn't know what he's doing? Why would he demand the 27 firsts? Especially from the Cowboys. He made sure he got that. Why? Because he knows we need a quarterback. And people are like, well, why would he bring in Justin Fields? Who else was he going to bring in? Who else was he going to bring in? Aaron Rodgers wasn't the answer. You're still going to need a quarterback at some point. But the way to play this game now is you might have to burn it down, and that's what they're doing, in order to rebuild it the proper way. Because it's been so bad. And you don't want to be in that mid-tier forever. You don't want to bring in the guy who's going to get you the 7 wins, and then you get 7 wins again next year, and you have no shot at. That's where the Steelers have been. And I like Mike Tomlin as a head coach. And the reason I like Mike Tomlin as a head coach is because he's gotten them to that point without a quarterback. But because he's such a good coach, I think anyway, they weren't able to bring in a legitimate quarterback in the draft. I don't want him here because I don't want him to. He's the type of guy who could uproot Darren Muji. But you don't want to be there, and I think they see that. I think Muji sees it, and I think he's letting Woody know, and Woody's like, all right, let's do it your way. Let's do it this way and see what happens. Revisionist Rich. What am I revising? Tell me what I'm revising. Come on. PFD can teach a college course. Coping with suffering, a.k.a. How to Be a Jets Fan 101. Well, listen. I have not been confident. There are times when I'm just not confident as a Jets fan, and it's been a lot. There have been a lot of times when I've looked at this team and just said, okay, well, they are what they are. And I would get angry. But right now I see the situation for what it is. And what doesn't help is sitting there and crying about the past. Crying about what happened in the past and saying, well, Woody's a bad owner. I mean, if you're gonna make these claims, give me facts to back them up. Give me something to back them up. And people can't do that. Best owners are the ones you never hear from. Well, I'll tell you what. He's an owner in the New York market, right? Do we hear from him because he's out there talking a lot? He came out this year and said something about Justin Fields in an interview. He was being interviewed. He didn't hold a press conference. He's not doing what Jerry Jones does. He doesn't have a radio show, go on radio shows to talk about the team every week. Woody doesn't do that, but people ask him questions and he's honest with his answers. And then, of course, because it's the New York media, that gets pushed out there. What's he supposed to do? Run away if they ask him a question? That's what I don't understand. Bad enough we say Rex Ryan's brother. Oh, wait, what are you guys talking about? Rex Ryan? I think the thing that pissed me off most is the Patriots making this Super Bowl. They somehow nailed everything in a year because somehow they looked even worse than us last year. Jason, let's not forget something important here. Again, not to defend Woody, but let's not forget something important. We were going to hire Mike Vrabel. That's who he wanted. He wanted to bring in Mike Vrabel. And Robert Kraft fired Gerard Mayo so he could hire Mike Vrabel because he knew because Vrabel was a former Patriot, he would definitely take that job. That's where we were. So again, Woody wanted Mike Vrabel. The day before Mayo got fired, everybody was on Twitter. Your Adam Schefters, everybody was saying, there's a good feeling that Mike Vrabel's going to take this Jets job if the Patriots job doesn't become available. So people forget these things, though. So, yeah, I see Jet fans all crazy because, and that's part of the reason why everybody's so crazy right now is because the Jets are where they are and the Patriots are where they are. I think Deb said before, so we can be good in 2 to 3 years. Well, if you're in the position you're in now and you've never had a franchise quarterback, yeah, you have to, I think that's how you have to play this. You have to burn it down so that you can get the guy in there and look 2 to 3 years down the line. Because if you're looking at next season saying, well, let's be a playoff team next year, How is that going to happen? What quarterback are we going to get? Because you need a quarterback. That's number one. And you have a coach that looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. So let's say you get rid of Aaron Glenn, you bring somebody else in. Now he doesn't have a good roster. He doesn't have a quarterback. What do we expect him to do? So I'm fine with the way this is going. I'm fine with them burning this down. We loaded up on picks, and we have 3 picks in a quarterback heavy draft. I think that is pretty remarkable. And I like how they're doing it. And we could look at it now on this side and say, oh, I mean, okay, that's stupid. But when we're on the other end of it, we'll know. Was it a good idea or was it a bad idea? I think it's going to be a good idea. It's all a conspiracy to screw the Jets going all the way back to the bar napkin. I don't think it's a conspiracy. But, I don't. Everybody's constantly talking about let's fire Woody. And I'm just like, why? Well, you can't fire Woody, but get him to sell the team. Well, we don't know what if the next owner is worse? We had Woody gone for a second and Chris Johnson made things worse. And throughout Woody's tenure there, things weren't always bad. I didn't hear people complaining about Woody when the Rex teams were getting to the AFC Championship. There's nobody out there saying, oh, we need a new owner. Nobody was saying that. It's crazy how winning can change that perception. Here's Jeff's Party says, I think you need someone like Harbaugh or McDonald to build a winning culture and get the team ready to play on Sunday. Someone who is no nonsense. Well, we know Aaron Glenn's no nonsense. He just doesn't know things. Thank you for the $5, Just Party. No, Aaron Glenn's no nonsense. John Harbaugh, look, we'll see what happens with John Harbaugh in New York. I think John Harbaugh's a phenomenal coach. I would have been happy with John Harbaugh. But again, I don't like the idea of if you have a good general manager, I don't like the idea of undercutting that general manager. Now in New York, when you have Joe Schoen or Joe Shane, I always say Schoen because it's spelled Schoen. You have Joe Shane, you have Harbaugh come in. Yeah, you give Harbaugh the reins. You're like, yeah, we're not going to let Schoen run the show anymore. But here with what Muji's done in year one, I'm like, I kind of want to see this play out. I want to see what he does. We have no reason to think he can't put this team together. I mean, look at the guys he brought in during the season, just during the season for pick swaps and whatnot. I mean, I think he's built a pretty good supportive role in terms of the roster. There are guys on defense that are good in supporting roles, not superstars. But when you get the superstars in there, these guys are going to be good in supporting roles. And you get somebody there that can actually game plan a defense. These are guys that you want there. So I like that he's doing that. I love the value that he got in the trades. I like his draft class. So those are 3 things that I'm like, I don't see a red flag here. I don't see a red flag. But yeah, Mike McDonald, yeah, sure, man. I would love to bring in a young guy like that who knows what he's doing. Right now, the next guy that's closest to Harbaugh is Tomlin. And I don't want that next year because, we'll see how the draft goes. Again, there could always be a Darren Muji heel turn on the horizon. You never know. I could look at what he does in this draft and be like, what are you doing, man? Wait, what? I could look at what he does. If he spends all the money in free agency on nobodies and it's like, yeah, we're going to try to get 8 wins this year. I'd be like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? But we'll see. I don't think he doesn't strike me as that. It seems like he knows what he's doing. But as a coach, I'm telling you, next year, if LaFleur's there, Mike LaFleur, Clint Kubiak is another guy. I love Mike LaFleur. I would love to bring in Mike LaFleur. If they do that, I would be very happy. Sean McDermott's another guy. I would be, he's below LaFleur to me. Kubiak is another guy that I think I would put above McDermott just because they're offensive guys. And if they are brilliant offensive minds, I think that's way more valuable to keep that, especially with a young quarterback. You pair him with a young quarterback, let's say it's Arch Manning, bam, you got 10 plus years of good football, relevant football. So thank you, Jeff's Party. Someone give me a I'm high on AD Mitchell. Yeah, now look, let's say we draft Mekhi Lemon, right? Oh, AD Mitchell's going to be our wide receiver 3? What? I mean, that's awesome. Get out of here. You know, John Mechie's another one. I like John Mechie. I like what John Mechie offers. You can do a hell of a lot worse than John Mechie as your wide receiver 4. I mean, I like what he did. So that's what I'm saying. Is I don't think everybody's thinking we're in this horrible spot and Darren Mougie's terrible because of the Justin Fields thing. No, like look beyond that. Look beyond the pale. Look what he did with those draft picks. It's insane. Look what he did with the contracts, by the way. Look at Sauce Gardner's contract next year too, by the way. First of all, we're getting like another $20 million in free agency money freed up. The salary cap's going to go up like 20 mil or something like that on top of what we have already. And then next year we're opening up another 50 mil in salary cap. Everybody's like, who's going to want that Jets job? I'll tell you what, we have the first overall pick. We have all that cap space and we have the ability to draft an Arch Manning. And by the way, how long did it take Joe Douglas to draft a good offensive lineman? Darren Mougie did it one shot. Bam. Get me Membu. Membu's a monster. Mason Taylor. Look at this draft class. Malachi Moore, I think, is at least a good backup safety. A.Z. Thomas, not a bad cornerback. That guy's your cornerback 2 or 3. I think you're in pretty good shape. He knows what he's doing in the draft. It looks that way. Dude's here with a $5 and says, what are the Raiders going to do and what do we think of the Browns hire? Stay awesome, good sir. Down with Lord Chair and Desk. All hail Lord Mike. Dude, what's going on? I love you, man. Thank you for the $5. Let me get to some of those questions. Lot to unpack here, but I want to get your name on screen first. So what do I think the Raiders are going to do in terms of coach? I really don't know. I am hearing Mike LaFleur. I would think that would be the best way to go for them. Maybe they're waiting for Kubiak too. Apparently the Steelers are going to try their best to hold on to Kubiak. There we go, dude. Thank you very much. So we'll see what happens there. I really don't know what they're going to do. They could also go like the Vance Joseph route or something like that. I'm kind of hoping that's what they do. I don't know that they'll do that. Maybe Tom Brady, who they are, he's got an ownership stake. So I don't know how much they listen to him or how loud his voice is there. But I would assume they would defer to him in some of these situations and see what he thinks would be best. It's probably wise. Because I think Brady would say, if we're bringing in a young quarterback, we should probably go offensive coach because of what I went through with Belichick. But then again, we did win Super Bowl. So, but, I really don't know. The Raiders are so, you never know what they're going to do. The fact that they haven't made a hire yet tells me they might be waiting for Kubiak. So maybe they'll do that. That would be smart. What do I think of the Browns hire? I think Monken's a good hire. Again, I like pairing an offensive mind with a young quarterback. So we'll see. I don't think it was a bad hire. I know Hafley was mad that he didn't get the job. I didn't think that would have been a great hire. What do you expect to change when you just promote a guy from within to a head coach? When does that ever happen? That's why the Buffalo Bills thing kind of baffles me. You got rid of McDermott, and now they just hired Jim Leonard as their defensive coordinator, who I like Jim Leonard. A lot of Jets fans wanted him. I didn't want him this year because I think he can actually be a good defensive coordinator. I'm like, we're just going to waste him. He's going to be fired after the season. Unless they promoted him, but I don't know if they would have done that. But the whole thing with the Bills, what's changing? Okay, so Joe Brady's the head coach now. Is the offense going to change? I think it would have behooved them. But you have Josh Allen, man. These guys Clint Kubiak, when this is all said and done with the Super Bowl, if he's looking for a head coaching job and you're telling him, hey, Josh Allen's available, his ears are going to perk up. He's going to say, I have to listen to that. I have to listen to that. I have to at least see what the offer is. And there's a good chance he probably takes that. But promoting Brady, I think Joe Brady's fine. I don't know that it moves the needle. I think you're in the same spot you were in. So then why did you fire your head coach? Doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, Monken, I don't think Monken was bad. I don't think Monken was bad. A bad hire. That Membu pick was awesome. Yes. Yes. Membu was such a difficult pick to make. Look at Tim Daniel. Oh, in hindsight, yes. Okay, Tim Daniel. You come in hindsight and say that was a great pick, but you never know. You never know. But this draft is going to be fun. We're going to be here for draft day. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be losing my mind. I'm going to be here at least 2 of the draft days. I don't know if I'm going to do the final day, but definitely going to be here for rounds 1, 2, and 3. Jets don't have a third rounder though, but still, it'd be interesting to see where some of these guys go. I don't think the draft is strong after like the middle of round 2. So after that, I'm just kind of like, whatever happens, happens. There are a couple of running backs that intrigue me later on, but there was a receiver. I forgot his name. Oh man, Sky. I tweeted about him earlier. Hold on a second. Why can't I remember his name? Hold on a second. I'm bad with names sometimes, especially when I'm sitting there looking at draft names and it's just like it's crazy. Skylar Bell. He could be a second rounder. He could drop to the 5th round, but he kind of intrigues me a little bit. Belichick is not a first-round Hall of Famer. Ashley says I'm kidding. That was stupid. And again, it's changed. In the past, coaches weren't eligible for the Hall of Fame right away. Now they are. So, players have to wait a few years. Coaches can just be eligible right away. But when you have Bill Belichick, come on. If we're going to use the Deflategate and stealing signs and all that stuff, then you have to delegitimize the entire Patriots dynasty. And they're not going to do that. So, it is what it is. Maybe they're like, well, he missed 1 vote apparently. So it's not like everybody was against Belichick getting in, but he missed by 1 vote. It's just silly. Who do you look at and say, well, he deserves the Hall of Fame more than Bill? It's and again, this is speaking as a Jets fan. Bill deserves the Hall of Fame as a first ballot. Does every coach? No. But I think maybe the fact that they now coaches can be eligible right away, I think that's stupid. Like make them wait a few years, because then it means more, I think. But Jimmy Johnson was pissed off. Jimmy Johnson was like, this just delegitimizes the entire Hall of Fame. And in some sense, he's correct, because now it seems personal. You can't look at it and think it doesn't seem personal. And Bill Polian saying he doesn't remember who he voted for. So then should you even be on the committee? What are you doing? Come on. Clear screen. Bill not being a first ballot Hall of Fame might be the worst snub in sports history. Yeah, I agree. That was bad. That was terrible. When everyone on the planet agrees with Sass about something, it was ridiculous. Bill not making the Hall of Fame. It was stupid. And it does feels like a personal snub, which I don't like. SG, you have to put that in context. Someone get me a bong. And Ashley says, who said that, SG? You have to put it in context. She says, I can't imagine what he was talking about. I was talking about you. Do you not remember that? When we were trying to come up with your finishing move? and I was comparing you to the Undertaker and said we need the bong, like the bong. Somebody give me a bong is what I said. In the chat, I was saying I wanted somebody to type bong out in the chat, and I actually said the word somebody give me a bong. That's the context behind it that SG is keeping from you. He's a snake sometimes. You got to keep an eye on him. He can be slithery. He slithers all over the chat sometimes. You got to watch him. You got to step on that tail and get him back in mental health, whatever. I gave you the context. It was during the Natty. That's that. You didn't give the full context. When even diehard Jeff fans are saying it's a travesty, you know it's bad. Yeah. And you know what? Jets fandom is like the movie Die Hard, by the way. If I've never gone into that, I'm going to go into that right now. Jets fandom is like the movie Die Hard. We are the guys right now. This is what we're doing. We're walking into the building. It's Christmas Eve. We're just like, we're looking at the screen with the doorman or whoever you want to call him, and we're looking up Holly McClain, and it's not there. And then we see it's Holly Gennaro, and she's using her maiden name, and now we're all mad about that. Then we get up there and we're just hanging out, and some guy kisses you and says Merry Christmas, and you're all like, California. And then you see that guy doing drugs in that office, and you can't do anything because you have no jurisdiction there. And then he gives your wife a Rolex, and he's trying to show off about that. You take your shoes off, and you find out there's a bunch of terrorists out there, and now you're running through the hallway with no shoes on, and all you have is your 6-shooter, and you see a guy get killed. That's exactly what Jets fandom is right now. But what you don't know, what a lot of people don't know, is soon we're going to be at the top of that building staring down Hans Gruber, and we're going to have the pistol taped to the back of our heads, or, back here, like the upper neck. And Hans Gruber's going through the window, and that's it. And that means Arch Manning is going to be a Jet, and Darren Muji is going to be the prince. No, the king. Sorry, not the prince. He's going to be the king. What's up, Matt West? Yeah, Belichick should have been a first-round Hall of Famer. Yeah, I think every Jet fan is just like, that's stupid. That's stupid. Come on. This is why I love football fandom. Because, especially here, because we do this. We're logical here. Sometimes you see plays like, oh, F them, who cares? It's the Patriots, whatever. And I get that, but seriously, we have to be logical. And all you guys here are logical. Sometimes SG is not logical. No, he is. Stanky's not logical. You can tell him I said that. Respect is given to Belichick and Brady. Yeah, begrudgingly, of course. Of course. I'm with you on that. All right. What else do we got here? I may be in the minority, but a small part of me is glad Belichick has to wait a year to get into the Hall of Fame. There should be repercussions for being... You know what, Deb? This is actually a very good point, because a couple of reporters have chimed in on this, saying he wasn't very nice. And that could be one of the reasons, because people are tight with certain people. They tell certain people he was a jerk to me year after year. I think it was the woman who works for The Athletic, whose name I can't remember right now. Saturday mornings, I have trouble remembering things. I don't know what it is. But she's the one that always comes out with like the nonsense Jet stories. But she said, Bill was pretty brutal, pretty bad to be around. And that could have played in this decision. So there could be something there. You know what I mean? Hey, they always say be nice to people. You never know. And it's not fair, but still. The way he acts in a room with reporters. I mean, Parcells wasn't nice to reporters either. I don't ever remember Bill Parcells being out there and just being like this chipper dude. Parcells' personality was a little different, though. His personality was more likable. I saw the Darren Muji vision with you. Yes, you did. You did, SJ. I'm sorry. Okay, you're right. I want to show you something else, though. You did see the Darren Muji vision. You know what, SJ? I got a little perturbed by the whole bong thing because you didn't give context there, but I apologize for that. Hey, I mean, look at this. Is this not beautiful? This is what we have coming. Look at him. Look at him working his magic. It makes me so happy. I love being a Jets fan. I'm always going to love being a Jets fan. And this makes me happy because I see what's coming. What we experienced during the Rex Ryan's years, I smell that coming right around the corner, and I think it's going to be even better. And it's going to be longer lasting because of this man and what he's working here. I mean, look at that. Look at that. And you see the A there? I mean, I'm telling you, it all makes sense. It all makes sense. When you really think about it, it all makes sense. Some people call me crazy. I'm not crazy. And he cheated. I don't care if he was already punished. Like the stream, people. Yeah, sure. Television Champion is telling you to like the stream. Hearn Waggles, you don't want that tag team on your bad side because that would be bad for all of you. We are a top 3 dysfunction with the Browns and Cardinals, and we are so tanking for Arch. Yes, the dysfunction is there. I'm not going to deny that, but I don't know that the dysfunction is because of Woody. That's what I'm going to say. The dysfunction is there. Right now, I blame Mike Tannenbaum partially, because I have to give him credit for getting us Darren Muji. But the idea of picking Aaron Glenn or suggesting Aaron Glenn be the head coach because you think he's going to be a leader and you didn't look at X's and O's as a serious factor or the determining factor is iffy. It's weird. But the reason they chose Darren Muji was because he was with Denver under multiple regimes, which was I thought their process behind why they chose Darren Muji was pretty solid. But the process behind fair is fair. I got to be fair. I can't just crap on them. They got one thing very right, one thing very wrong. So that's where we are. So anybody saying but again, and I have to be fair to Woody, he put this in their hands. They got one thing right, one thing wrong. Let's take what we got right and move forward with that instead of crying about it. I don't know, Matt West, if you saw, I got into a thing on Twitter with the pretty big Jets Twitter person. And, I just thought what he was saying was ridiculous. So we went back and forth. Respectfully. Muji needs to start putting a distance on Glenn by acing this draft. I think Muji has already distanced himself from Glenn if people are paying attention. I think he already has. And yes, acing the draft, actually, if he botches the draft, and we're not going to know for a while, probably. But the good thing is he's not going to have to take a quarterback. Not early, not second. If he had to take a quarterback second, then there would be all this kinds of all this pressure. Like we got to bring the quarterback in. We got to do this. We got to do that. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. So that's good. He's going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine in this draft. They're at number 2. If he trades out at 2, I mean, there are guys between 1 and 17. There are a bunch of guys that I love, and I know we're going to get at least 2 of them. So, and he might even trade up because with those 2 seconds. Listen, this might be an unpopular take, but considering the where this roster is right now, not a lot of talent anywhere. Considering this is a tanking year, wink, wink, I would not at all be mad if Muji said, I think Caleb Downs is the best player in this draft. I'm taking him at number 2. And I'm going to move up and take Jeremiah Love. And we're going to let Brees walk. I wouldn't be mad at that. If Mekhi Lemon is there and they pass on him for Jeremiah, then I would be mad. Or like Carnell Tate, okay, I would be like, all right, that's a little, what are you doing? But after that, I think he's the best player in the draft. If they did that, I'm like, you really only make those picks if you have luxury picks to make. But I could create an argument that suggests if you are such a bad team and you have 3 first rounders in the next draft and you still have a second rounder in this draft, and you have a lot of cap space, I can make the argument that you actually have the luxury to do that. Because now you're securing the back end of the secondary and you're getting an explosive playmaker on offense and building a better situation for the quarterback you're going to take next year. I would be fine with that. I would be absolutely fine with that. I don't think that's a bad move at all. So, oh, you don't have Twitter or X? Okay. But I know that's an unpopular take because when on the surface, when you look at it in a vacuum, people say, no, you can't take a safety that high. You can't take a running back that high. Why? If you have all of these needs and your team is just a joke, why not take the two best players wherever they are? If it's a safety and a running back, fine. Whatever. I would do that this year. Because to me, this year is a throwaway draft. Not throwaway where the players don't matter, but throwaway in the sense where you don't really have to draft so much for need. You have the offensive line. That's key. You know what I mean? You have 2 first-round pass rushers that haven't lived up to expectations, but you still have them, so maybe give them another year and see what they can do. And if they can't get the job done, you address it next year. So, all right. Well, I hate this coaching tree argument on Belichick. Hall of Fame should be about what you accomplished on the field. Oh, yeah, the coaching tree argument is stupid. Coaching tree argument is ridiculous. Belichick won a ton of Super Bowls. Who cares what his coaching tree is? It can be a coaching win. It doesn't matter. It does not matter whatsoever. All right, but guys, I think I'm going to call it here. I got to head out for a work thing right now. But yeah, Saturday mornings, this is going to be a thing. Saturday mornings. I'm going to shoot for 12. If I can come on a little earlier, I will. I usually want to go a little bit past that, but that's why I came on earlier today, because I knew I had the stupid work thing I got to take care of. But this is a lot of fun. I really like this. And I think Tuesday I'm going to be going live. I'll let you guys know on Discord if I'm going to be going live on Tuesday. Again, keep an eye for content coming out this week. Going to be doing content every day, Monday through Friday. So keep an eye out for that. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. Thank you to the supreme ruler of the stream and your new television champion, Ashley. Ladies and gentlemen, she has taken the belt once more. Really appreciate the support. Thank you to everybody who donated. Jeff's party. Dude, you guys are awesome. Thank you to everybody who liked the stream. We only got 10 likes. Hit that like button or Waggles will follow you home and make fun of you in your sleep. We take recent number 2. We can franchise Hall. That's the cheapest franchise contract. Yeah, I'd be fine with franchising Hall. If they wanted to tag and trade him too to get a 3rd rounder this year or a 3rd rounder next year, which would probably be better because I don't really like some of the guys who are available in the 3rd round this year. But I would be fine with that. I'll be fine with that. Does not they have options this draft. I'm saying that's all I'm saying is they have the luxury of doing certain things that they, as a bad team, that they wouldn't typically have the luxury of doing. So we'll see what Muji does. It's going to be an interesting draft. I'm so curious to see how he starts building this thing from this year. And again, never underestimate the possibility of there being a Darren Muji heel turn. And meaning me turn heel on him. I don't think it'll happen. Did Animal ever turn heel on Hawk with the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors? I don't think so. Thank you so much, Ashley. See you later, SG. Join the Discord if you want to watch the Royal Rumble with everybody. Right there. JB is going to be watching the Royal Rumble. JB, I'm going to put you in charge of that, okay? So you monitor everybody, make sure that everybody's having a good time, make sure they all have their drinks with them and whatnot. Make sure there's plenty of food, too. Just bill me for it. Always a great what if, though. Talk to everyone later. Thank you, Deb. Yeah, so Saturdays, I will, if I can, I'll let you know in Discord, but this is going to be a Saturday thing. Like, maybe once in a while I can't do it because, life. But it's going to be a thing. Saturday mornings, noon-ish, right around there, For Lorraine, who joins every stream. For the supreme ruler of the stream and your new television champion, Ashley. For PFA, for Lucas, for Astro. For Darren Muji, let's get his picture up one more time. Oh, there it is. Look at him creating all kinds of magic. You guys, I'm telling you, this man, oh, he's changing football. I am your host, Rich Jodas, the Pro Football Demon, and I will catch you all later.